What is outheroding? I have been reading Scott's Ivanhoe recently and have come across a word I cannot find a meaning for, outheroding. In the novel it appears in a discussion of footwear. Fur and gold were not spared in his garments, and the point of his boots, outheroding the preposterous fashion of his time, turned up so very far as to be attached not to his knees merely but to his very girdle, and effectually prevented him from putting his foot into the stirrup. A search of the internet produces a reference here where it appears as. The characters in this act frisk about, here, there, and everywhere, as teasingly as the jack-o'-lantern lights which mischievous boys, from across a narrow street, throw with a looking glass on the faces of their opposite neighbors. Bartram disarmed outheroding Charles D'Amour in The Robbers, befaces the collected knights of St. Anselm, all in complete armor, and so, by pure dint of black looks, he outdares them into passive poltroons. Which doesn't help much in establishing what the word means. Does anyone know what outheroding is?
Outheroding, present participle form of outherod, means.
Outheroding is a present participle form of outherod. Here is the definition for outherod. To outdo in extravagance, violence, or excess, his cruelty outherods Herod.
The meaning Scott intended is to outdo in absurdity. I came across that unusual definition in an online dictionary, but lost the reference, sorry. All my dictionaries limit their definition to outdo in cruelty, if they even list the word at all. The proverbial saying is to outherod Herod, which isn't particularly common in the first place, but when it is used, that's nearly always the form. In all Google Ngram's vast corpus, outherod, or outherod, appears on average less than once a year, and nearly all of those occur as outherod Herod in the actual text, i.e., explicitly repeating the full saying. Ngrams doesn't support searching for outherod, but presumably there would be more results for that if it did. The expression appears in this quite old text of Shakespeare's Hamlet as it outherods Herod, but I couldn't say if that's how the bard himself wrote it. However, I suspect he may have been the first to write it at all. Note that someone, is a fairly standard way of generating one-off expressions like this today. Google returns 130k hits for out Bush and 50k for out Blair, for example. That compares to 20k for the Herod version, just to put it in context. In my opinion, outherod, irrespective of hyphenation or capitalization, isn't really a word at all. It's just a transient lexical element that no more deserves to be in the dictionary than out Obama, which gets over 230k Google hits, by the way. I'm no biblical scholar, but I don't think Herod has any particular reputation for extravagance or absurdity. As far as I know, extreme cruelty as exemplified by the massacre of the innocents was his proverbial quality. So I think Scott's usage was grammatically, typographically, and semantically perverse, to say the least.
Refers to the figure of biblical Herod, who allegedly had the innocent babies slaughtered. In popular medieval church plays often presented by actors in an exaggerated way as pure evil. That is what Hamlet refers to when he talks to a troupe of actors he asks to stage the murder of his father, meaning that to achieve the effect wished for, mirroring his horrible deed to his uncle, they have to act in a realistic way.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.